look at the RAEV Bullet GTX. This is the upgraded premium model over their base GT model, which I reviewed on the channel almost exactly 1 year ago. Overall, I was a pretty big fan of that bike. The design, I think, is one of the best looking on the market. And with the massive seat, it was super comfortable, but it wasn't the fastest, most powerful thing ever. So hopefully here with the GTX model, they fix that. So just like before, this is a dual battery configuration, combined 28 amp hours, but the voltage here is a slight upgrade to 52 volts versus the 48 of the previous generation. The motor physically looks the same. It's a geared hub motor, but the power here is supposed to be more. So nominal, this is street legal, 750 watts, but you can opt to unlock the bike. There's a quick how-to in the manual that comes with it. And in that off-road mode, this has a peak power of over 1500 watts. That's already an upgrade over the GT model, which was a peak of 1300 watts. As far as I can tell, the frame here is unchanged from the previous generation, and it remains one of the best looking bikes I've ever seen. I mean, this is on par with Super 73 in terms of just how cool the thing looks. The bike is, of course, full suspension, but this is one of the upgrades over the GT model. In the GTX, we have a dual air chamber shock. So even though the geometry here is unchanged, this should give you a smoother, more comfortable ride. The front fork is unchanged. It's just one of these very basic dual crown forks with adjustable compression and preload. But one of the biggest upgrades from the GT model is the upgraded tires. These are the very popular E-Huntsman, and in my estimation, they are one of the best tires you can put on your bike. We can see the tread here is great for both on and off-road applications. It's super thick, it's going to last you a very long time and give you much better puncture resistance than the much cheaper thin CST tires. So overall, it seems like the company kept what worked with the original model, the design, the comfortable seat, and they did some upgrades. Better suspension, tires, brakes, and volts, more volts. So hopping on the bike, I did go ahead and unlock it, so we have access to the full power potential here. In terms of modes, there's 3. So 3 is maximum. I'm gonna leave it in the maximum just to show you guys what the bike is capable of. I'm also not gonna be pedaling too much. I should mention that this is a single gear bike, so it's really not intended for pedaling. In my estimation, this bike is clearly designed for long-range, comfortable cruises. I mean, the nice tires, super comfy seat, dual batteries, all plays into that use case. So I noticed that this bike, in terms of the power delivery, at slow speeds, when you touch the thumb throttle, it's very twitchy. It immediately goes, but it pretty quickly falls off a cliff. It doesn't have enough power to sustain a very hard pull. Again, at very slow speeds, when you touch that throttle, it will jolt you back. But the follow through does leave a little bit to be desired. So just like with the GT model, the last one I reviewed, thanks. I would say this bike isn't a powerhouse. Right? If you want something that's just the maximum speed, torque, acceleration for the dollar, I don't think this is it. I mean, if you only care about power for the dollar, I would definitely point in the direction of something like the Wired Freedom. Here, some of the budget went towards the aesthetics, the suspension, the comfort, as well as the power system. I mean, after all, we do have dual batteries here. I think the combined watt-hour capacity is like 1,500. And in 2024, although it's not industry leading or class leading, it's still a very competitive battery size given the price tag here, which is, at the time of recording, $2,400. Okay, we're gonna do some road riding here. Yeah, so once this light turns green, we're gonna go full throttle, mode 3, and you guys are gonna see what the acceleration is like here. Oh, and we can also toggle using the power button here to show us the watts. So we can monitor exactly how much power the motor is getting. All right, full power, no pedaling. 20 miles per hour, 23. We're going slight uphill now. So the bike clearly isn't the fastest thing ever. I mean, full throttle right now on a slight incline. Just about a full charge, we're going 27 miles per hour. I noticed that on a flat surface, what is this guy doing? Yeah, sure, just, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I noticed on a flat surface, which it is leveling out right now, full throttle, this was able to maintain about 30 miles per hour. We're touching that right now, 31, okay. 32, it's still pretty flat right now. And yeah, we're topping out at around 31, 32 miles per hour, full throttle on about a 90% charge. So adequate for cruising around town. I'm very comfortable right now, sitting upright. We have riser handlebars. They rise about, maybe about like 4 or 5 inches. So the posture here, super relaxed, upright. The seat, again, is the most comfortable seat on the market. We have the upgraded air shock in the back, even these faux leather grips, which are just a pleasure to hold on to, and the premium tires. All of that combines to a very just chill, comfortable ride. I will say, I don't know how effective the new air shock is. I'm sure it's better than what was found in the GT, but even after adjusting the PSI and the shock, I just wasn't able to get that much movement out of it. Now, for you pedal enthusiasts, this is single speed, which I like. It reduces the maintenance. It frees up space on the handlebars, so you don't have that gear shifter up here, which nobody really uses after day one anyway. And the gearing here with the one gear that you have, it's suitable for pedaling at about 20 miles per hour. So right now I'm going 25, and it's kind of hard to keep up with it. But if I slow down, let's slow down to like 15 miles per hour. Yeah, this is doable. I would say the sweet spot for pedaling here is 15 to 20 miles per hour. At that speed, you can pedal at a pretty good cadence and actually contribute a little bit to the range. Should do some off-roading here. I don't think it's illegal. Oh yeah, this is not bad at all. I'm sitting on the seat right now, I'm not even standing up. Now, I'm gonna be a little bit critical here for a second, because this is the GTX model. It's supposed to have all the bells and whistles. It's also 2024, so bikes are just generally getting better. And at this point, on a bike like this, I would have expected to see an upgraded front and suspension fork. This is dual crown, better than single crown, but that's about the only nice thing about this fork. I think this fork from KKE would have been a game changer on this bike. It is significantly higher quality. It uses a through axle in the front. It's dual crown, has a direct mount handlebar stem, so you don't have to worry about the alignment getting messed up. And most importantly of all, the performance of the shock is significantly better on this KKE fork and others like it versus this. This is essentially a bare bones Chinese fork, and I'm just not a fan of the suspension performance here. It's very chunky and it doesn't respond to minor bumps and cracks. It only compresses when you hit very large stuff. I mean, no matter how much I adjust these little dials here, the fork just behaves exactly the same. But since I'm being critical, there are 2 other smaller things that I'm shocked are not included on this bike. One is fenders. Why does this bike not have fenders? It's the GTX model. And I mean, we have these little pieces of plastic, but in my book, that's not a fender. I did notice on their website, they do sell fenders for like almost $100. And I think that's wrong. This model should have came standard with fenders, especially because this front battery here is so exposed to mud and water hitting it. And then the other shortcoming is to do with the brakes. It's not the calipers. These calipers are fantastic. 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes. It's one of the upgrades of the GTX, but they're on a 180 millimeter disc. Why? These should have been 200 plus millimeters in size, and that would have given you substantially better stopping power. Now, the stopping power isn't a problem here, mostly because the bike isn't that fast. But on the GTX model, the premium one, high performance, I just don't understand why they gave you small disc brakes. All right, so to conclude, let's do a little pros and cons list of this bike, at least according to me. So to start with positives, anything to do with the aesthetics and build quality. This bike is one of the best looking on the market. I'll say right up there with Super 73. So if a good looking bike is one of your top priorities, you don't want to look like a chump, I think this bike has you covered. Easily one of the best in the market. Same thing goes with the comfort. The seat on this thing is, I think this does have the biggest, thickest, most plush memory foam seat on the market. And being that it's like nearly 2 feet long, you can adjust where you sit on it. So you can slide up on the seat, slide back, just whatever's most comfortable for you. You can't forget about the air shock. I don't know of too many other e-bikes in this price range that out of the box comes with an air shock, a dual chamber air shock at that. Same thing goes with these tires. I love the fact that they give you legit tires. In comparison to the very cheap, knobby, thin tires that every other bike comes with, these are gonna last a lot longer. They give you superior traction, and they are puncture resistant, being that they are much thicker and premium. Some things that I find more neutral are the batteries and I guess the overall power system. It's okay. Previously we reached a cruising speed of just over 30 miles per hour. And I think for a lot of people, you know who you are, but that's probably good enough. And the batteries here are good this year because they upgraded to 52 volts. Again, it's a dual battery configuration. If you opt for this model, you could save a little bit and go with the single battery version. But I wouldn't do that. I would splurge a little bit, go for the dual battery. That extra range is gonna make the bike a lot more capable. I've calculated in the past that with my body weight, this varies depending on person, but with my body weight, I was using about 38 watt hours per mile. So that means theoretically, just according to the math, this bike for me would deliver a maximum theoretical range of 38 miles. And then finally, the shortcomings of this bike, or the cons, according to me, are pretty minor. Things like fenders, I just don't understand why for the GTX model they don't have fenders stock. I also think putting the 180 millimeter disc rotors in this bike was another pretty big miss. One of the upgrades of the GTX is the better brakes for piston. And by not giving it bigger brake rotors, they're kind of handicapping their performance. Again, the stopping power, if I demonstrate, I'm going, let's speed up to 20 miles per hour and then slam on the brakes. Yeah, I mean, I got a skid, but it's the same concept as with the fenders. There's just no reason to not give you the better brake rotors. But those complaints are pretty minor, and I think overall this bike is very high quality. Especially if you're looking for a super comfortable bike to cruise around town with, a chill kind of experience, something that looks cool, and is still significantly cheaper than a Super 73. This is a great option. So I'll leave a link to this bike below the video. If you guys enjoyed, I appreciate a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.